In a small, charming town nestled between rolling hills, there lived a young woman named Ilara, the daughter of a skilled clockmaker. But Ilara was no ordinary apprentice. She possessed a rare gift, the ability not only to repair broken clocks, but to mend broken hearts. Her hands, delicate and precise, worked not only on the intricate gears of timepieces, but on the fragile threads of human emotions. One cold, overcast morning, a man named Thomas stumbled into her father's shop. His face bore the weight of heartache, his eyes clouded with sorrow. Clutched in his hand was a pocket watch, its hands frozen in time. It had belonged to his late fiancée who had passed away just days before their wedding. Thomas, once full of hope and dreams of a future together, now wandered through life, lost in a fog of grief. He sought Ilara's help, not realizing that what he needed most wasn't just the mending of his watch, but the healing of his heart. The door to the shop creaked open as Thomas entered, the soft jingle of the bell barely registering over the steady ticking of the clocks lining the walls. The room smelled of wood shavings and oil, a comforting aroma that contrasted the cold emptiness in Thomas's chest. Ilara looked up from her workbench, her keen eyes noticing the watch in his hand. "I don't know if it can be fixed," Thomas murmured, his voice as broken as the watch he placed before her. "It was hers. The last piece of her I have left." Ilara studied the watch, its hands frozen at the precise moment his fiancé had passed. She could feel the weight of his sorrow in the silence between the ticking clocks. "Some things can be fixed," she said softly, "and some things heal with time." As Ilara worked on the watch, Thomas returned to the shop daily, drawn by an inexplicable pull toward the young woman and the comfort her presence seemed to bring. He began to share stories of his fiancée, of their plans for the future, their laughter, and the love that now felt distant and unreachable. Ilara listened, her gentle demeanor never wavering, her fingers carefully winding the delicate springs and gears of the watch. But she knew that Thomas's heart was far more delicate than the timepiece she was repairing. And just like with broken clocks, she understood that hearts, too, required patience, attention, and time to heal. "I can't imagine loving anyone else," Thomas confessed one evening as the rain drizzled against the shop's windows. "It feels like time stopped when she left." Ilara looked up from her work, her gaze soft but unwavering. "Time doesn't stop, Thomas. It only pauses to give us the chance to catch up, to remember what's important." As the weeks passed, the watch was nearly repaired, but something more profound had also begun to mend. Ilara's quiet wisdom and her ability to listen without judgment were like balm to Thomas's wounded soul. Her presence was a reminder that life still held beauty, that time still moved forward, even when it felt like it had stopped. One evening, as Ilara handed him the newly repaired pocket watch, Thomas felt something shift within him. The watch now ticked steadily, its rhythmic sound mirroring the heartbeat that had once seemed lost in him. "It's beautiful," Thomas said, his voice filled with awe as he held the watch, no longer just a relic of the past, but a symbol of the present and the future. Ilara smiled, her hands folding in front of her. "Sometimes it's the broken things that remind us how precious time is. The cracks make room for new moments to fill." As time passed, Thomas found himself visiting the shop not for the clocks, but for Ilara. Each day brought with it a new layer of feelings, slowly softening the edges of his grief. Ilara had taught him more than how to fix a broken timepiece. She had shown him how to piece together the fragments of his own heart. On a crisp autumn evening, as the sun set behind the hills, casting a warm glow over the town, Thomas took Ilara's hand. "You've given me back more than time, Ilara. You've given me hope and love." Ilara's heart fluttered, the warmth of his touch sending ripples through her. She had always understood time, how it worked in cycles, how it healed wounds. but she had never expected it to bring her love. Yet here it was, in the form of this once broken man who now stood before her, his heart mended by the passage of time and the gentle care she had given. "I never thought," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "that fixing a broken clock would lead me here." Thomas smiled, his eyes soft with affection. "Maybe some things aren't meant to be fixed. Maybe they're meant to start anew." The clockmaker's daughter, who once only fixed clocks, had found her own heart ticking alongside a new love. And as Thomas and Elara stood together, the clocks around them ticking in perfect harmony, they realized that time, with all its fragility, was the greatest gift of all. They had learned that while time might stop for a moment in grief, it always moves forward, bringing with it the chance for love, healing, and new beginnings. And in the quiet rhythm of their lives, they found that sometimes the most beautiful things aren't the ones we fix, but the ones we rebuild together. The Clockmaker's Daughter is a tender tale of healing, hope, and the power of love. It reminds us that even in the darkest moments, time holds the key to mending not only broken clocks, but broken hearts as well.